It is with joy that this beautiful message, this mandala, which came through from the sacred realms, is shared with you in honor of the coronation of Charles III, the King of the United Kingdom, for when he will, in a couple of months, be anointed as the head of the faithful, the supreme governor of the Anglican Communion within his realm. So, this beautiful honoring from on high came through. It's a very precious, sacred message. And we can see that it is made up not only of some of the main features of a chart, such as the Imam Coeli, but which grounds its roots into that moment in time space, but also with Pallas Athena, the firstborn child of wise woman, child of the king, which here is that king, Jupiter or Zeus, which is aligned exactly with the return of the divine feminine, Astrea, who heralds in the golden age. Those features, along with the great attractor at the midheaven, really tells us where this message is coming from. You can see that little dot on the midheaven, and the great attractor is one of the heaven locales. It is a very special spot in the universe that light bends around, a supercluster of galaxies, or you might say a cluster of super galaxies. That's another way to look at it. It's a download location of fresh light, fresh data, fresh love that is being sourced to the cosmos and to us, prime creation. So, also within the chart, we have the great attractors, eternity, and archangels are sanctifying this ray of light for the new ray, the new King Charles and Serene Camilla, as well as the prince, his son, who will follow in his footsteps. But also, Charles is a prince of the Church of Scotland. And he also, or let's just look at some of the other features here. No, I think that's fine. We'll continue on and just get to the meat of the matter, which is there are 12 of these stars within the chart. And indeed, the asteroid star graces the descendant, how energy is sent out from a chart. We can see that star is exactly lined up there with the mathematics at 3 degrees of Virgo. But more importantly, we have, or perhaps not more importantly, but interestingly, for the event that's coming up, we have these mystic rectangles inside. There are 12 of them. A mystic rectangle takes the shape of the nave of a cathedral or church, and a temple is what we see here. With Potter Temple, Creator Temple, at 00 is the infinity sign, which exactly lines up with the 00s of Venus. Here we see Venus entering her own sign of Taurus. Now, Taurus is an earth sign. You could say that it represents the new earth that we are creating and ascending into as we evolve our species into a lighter version of ourselves, Homo lumens, as we are coming out of the chaos we find ourselves in at present and stepping into a new golden age that is being heralded by this new king. So, that Potter Temple with those infinity symbols are actually also lined up with London. How exquisite is this message in its details? So fine. The London Temple is, in this case, this mystic rectangle points up and has the midpoint at the heavens. And when there is a midpoint in a mystic rectangle, on one of the short ends of it, then it creates what's called a yod. A yod is also known as a finger of God. It's a challenge that presents itself. And indeed, the royal family in England or Britain is known for having these yods in their birth charts, or those who marry in are known for them as well. And so, what it does is it takes two elements or two situations within the chart that don't normally mix that well together, sort of like oil and water, and it bridges them with very high vibrational, positive, let's move forward type of energy to make the goal more easily reached, the common goal. When there is a focused yod, as in this case, and again, there are 12 of these in this mandala that is made up of that tone poem we already mentioned about the coronation of the king, then it gives it even more of a boost to reach that goal. And so we can see that there are 12 of these. Part of this message from on high is celebrating that Charles is somewhat like the Place de l'Étoile in Paris, in that you've got all these roads leading out in many directions, and that this king, this prince among men, has decided that he does not have to have all roads lead to the Church of England, that he embraces the many cultures within his multinational community that is reflected not only in the communion, the Anglican Communion, but also in the multi-faith culture of his realm. So just by putting in a little bit of artistic license here, we have all the blue and green colors, which represents our earthly blue-green planet, because Earth, the Old English term ERRATA, the word that we get Earth from, that named asteroid is exactly lined up with the wide orb of the moon at the master number 22, the architect's number. And Charles has certainly used the Venus energy of art, charm. Taurus represents these things as well. Grace, diplomacy, wealth, in order to use his own ideas about graceful architecture in his land, as well as his devotion to the earth and our care of her. So that's a wonderful message here that's also included. It's just a beautiful resonance all throughout the honoring of him. Here we see that 12-pointed star and how it is infinite. It never sends energy out. It is an eternal grounded star now that is in time space within the 0 point in the quantum field. And just by gazing at it, you activate its wonderful energy. We see artistically how the many different qualities of energy expressed in the chart are reflected in this balance. This is a visual that you might see in a mosque on a tile. And also we can note that it is made up of a double hexagram, which is what graces the Israeli flag, representing the Merkabah, or a divine vehicle to God, which for millennia our spiritual adepts have used to commune with the sacred cosmos. And so within that is a kite. So there are 12 of those. And again, they're going in all directions. And it's quite beautiful how exquisite this this chart in its message makes this complex balance. Very beautiful. So the larger message comes as we see what lines up within 1 degree with the named asteroids or the heavenly features of the cosmos, such as the Great Attractor or the galactic center, the eye of the Milky Way, our closest fresh prime creation locale. And that is exactly opposite honor. So the full breadth of honor is coming in here, lined up with Mars, the male figure of a chart. In this case, this is referencing and honoring Charles, heavens are honoring this man for his role. We can see that the London king is lined up with Juno, the ideal partner. And certainly he is partnering with the heavens to, as he is crowned king within the cathedral, he is taking on his role as the defender of the faith. But what he said is he wants to be a defender of faith, not just of the one Anglican faith. So here we have archangel benedictions or blessings from the actual 1314 Virgo locale, angelic locale of the wheel. It's really wonderful that the asteroid for archangel is at that locale, sending out blessings. And what's extraordinary is that Charles, here, Charleroi, is the name of this asteroid, which sounds like Charles the King, is flanked by the two asteroids for Archangel Michael, uh, exactly here with his point on this 12-pointed star. So we know that Archangel Michael is the defender of God and the night, the heavenly night. And in this way, Charles, as the head, the supreme governor of the Anglican Communion, is the night for his faithful. He is that, and night here is lined up with Prince. So eventually that role will go on to the Cambridges. We'll see how that will be passed on in that chart. This chart also embraces that. Um, so the Canterbury Church, the Anglican Communion, is lined up here with that heavenly location so close to us, the eye of the Milky Way galaxy where we live. So isn't that extraordinary? Just amazing to me that this all comes through. Actually, it's becoming less and less amazing. I have been receiving charts for this family and the honoring from on high ever since his mother, Queen Elizabeth, released her last breath. That at that moment in time, I received a chart where I was in Germany, and I'll be sharing that later. That's just very complex. The many, many messages that have come through as Charles has acceded to the throne. And I am neither a royalist nor an anti royalist. I am not religious, but I am very spiritual. And there is so much awe in these charts that come through. It is exceptional, exceptional, the breadth of detail in support of this devoted family of service. Yes, they are sovereigns and they show us all how to be sovereigns, how to live in abundance and to serve. And I am really in awe of their service. Since I have been receiving these charts, these messages. So let's see what Charles did. One of the reasons he's being honored is he took refuge in the principles of Britain. In preparing for this role, he had prepared for decades. And so the king, that ray of light, took refuge. Here, Britain is exactly on the other side of Hygeia, the healing goddess. The full breadth of healing is what he's chosen to do by not insisting that his faith be the faith, but by being more inclusive, which is what he did the moment his mother passed. Mama Stuart, the Queen Mother, Ma'am, was descended from the Stuart line, as is he, and here she is as the eldest daughter of the king. In this case, her father was George. And but magnanimity of spirit, magnanimity means generosity, and it's lined up here with the words of the archangels. Upon his mother's passing, one of the first public speeches, if not the first, that Charles gave was about, he quoted, generosity of spirit. There's no asteroid named generosity, but there is one for magnanimity, which means the same thing. And here we have spirit exactly at 3 degrees on the ascendant. And so it's just Do you see how many layers are in the exactitude of the math? Math is the language of the universe, and it is divine the way these messages come through in their precision. We have Potter Temple, again, honoring that sterling, a little play on words here. Sterling here is lined up with prince and knight. That sterling prince or of the church, that knight for the church, is lined up, or is Arthur. One of his names is lined up here with sanctify, as is Merlin with Uranus. Uranus represents revolutionary thinking outside the box, which, for Charles to have very openly made one of his main focuses upon his accession to be a welcoming of all faiths and not an off with your head. Let's have a war if you don't take my faith, which is throughout the history of Britain. But he looked back into what the basic principles were and took refuge in the way that this is a multinational realm that he now leads from the heart. He said that generosity of spirit, that preservation and protection of all faiths, or perhaps even no faith, is what he wants to do from his heart. And that Potter Temple here in London is at the heart of the chart, Venus. Very resonant, all that's going on. So, that Excalibur of Arthur, that sword of truth, that protection here with Camilla, is what will be passed on eventually to the Cambridges. They are exactly lined up with Neptune, which represents divine love, unconditional love. We are all one. It's unifying love. And we also have at the portal King Henry VIII, who created the king's position as the head of the Anglican Communion because he created the Church of England. So at the tunnel of light, we have Henry, and then at spirit, at the ascendant, we have Philip, his father. It's also one of Charles's names, along with Arthur. And Philip, Prince Philip here, was also the Duke of Edinburgh. Charles was born Prince of Edinburgh, so it's very resonant. And along with his father is that divine granny, the Queen Elizabeth, here with Excalibur, and the new Queen, the asteroid is, or Queens, is exactly on the other side of balancing out Black Moon Lilith, the return of the divine feminine. For hundreds of years, the churches in England have been devoted to the Black Madonna. And the Black Madonna or Black Moon Lilith represents the unseen, uh, what holds the firmament of the cosmos, or it is the firmament of the cosmos that holds everything. So we have just a wonderful uh, uh, expansion of that when you see that Porto Coeli, or the Heaven's Gate, from which the Queen and her husband, the parents of Charles, are sending abundance of good wishes. Here we've got good lined up with good King Charles. And finally, the last asteroid we'll put in is nostalgia, exactly lined up with that goddess asteroid Hygeia for healing, which is balanced out on the other side in full breadth with Britain. So we can see that Britain loves its pageantry, and the world indeed loves that nostalgic pageantry of Britain. Certainly, it is majestic, the crown that he will be wearing on that day. This message focuses more on the crown at the top of his head that receives that ray of light, that crown that is divine, and that anointment of Him is what is being honored here in His true devotion to try to find a way to unify the faiths of His kingdom by embracing His own and allowing others and celebrating others with His learning Arabic in order to study the Quran and value it, or to travel to Israel and many times, and to really embrace that rich culture and tradition. Those two communities are often in conflict in our time, yet Charles has found a way to really value the richness those cultures bring to his realm, and others as well. Those are just two examples. So yes, that crown is heavy, but as things lighten up and you take it off, you'll notice that you're always wearing a crown of stars from this anointment that you'll be receiving. So may you, dear sir, find that things lighten up in the years that you will enjoy your your reign. May you be graced with true wisdom that you've already displayed, and may you share it with us as you receive from on high this special connection. You show us all how we can be our own sovereign. You model an enjoyment of abundance through a pleasure of service, devotional service to your people and service on high. So shine on, enjoy these years. May they be many and may they be blessed.